Good morning, or rather, good afternoon. It's 12:29 p.m. I've just woken up, thrown some clothes on. I'm extremely tired because I've been so fiercely innovated, and let's call it what it really is. I think it's hypomania. I have not stopped fossicking and doing little repair jobs on jewellery and little jewellery boxes since around about December 22nd, so roughly 2 weeks. Excuse me. So yesterday was intense. I was just on fire, literally on fire. It's been raining and weather's been a bit miserable, and that didn't stop me. That actually gave me license to, I don't know, just be even more busy and frenzied because I wasn't overly heated and lethargic from the heat. Although yesterday was quite muggy and hot in spite of the rain. It's raining again, but that's okay. We need the rain. I'm not bothered by that. But anyway, I'm making this video just to say that I'm okay, but I'm really going through some weird shift, and I don't know what it is. I woke up, my hands, I'll show you in the light, my hands were aching and they're a bit swollen still. And little puffy bits under the knuckles, which seems to be a fixture of arthritis, but my young and stupid GP says she doesn't know why I get fluid sacs under my knuckles, but I don't think that's normal, quite frankly. But anywho, I'm alive in a COVID paradigm where everyone thinks they're dying. I'm fully alive and activated and full of joie de vivre and loving life. As my psychiatrist always, reminds me and partially teases me about, I'm only alive because of my defiance, which I have realised is an almost supernatural, magical thing, because anyone else would have given up by now. But my daughter came to visit me the other day, not yesterday but the day before, because when you live alone and you're busy all the time, days just bleed into one like a melting Salvadorian clock. Salvador Dalian clock, I mean. And yes, it's been quite intense, quite intense. What's that light showing? You like my butterfly? I bought that for my mother when I was 16 years old, and it broke and she shoved it in a drawer for the next 50 years. So anyway, there is that. No, not 50 years because I'm 56. Well, it was shoved in a drawer for a very long time until I found it in my mother's house and retrieved it and fixed it. Because everything that's meant to be with me comes back to me, even little glass butterflies. It's quite weird. So it reminds me about my lack of romantic love, interest and, true love potential, that, the person that's meant to be with me will eventually arrive in my life and hopefully will be a good thing. Although at the moment, the way I feel, I don't really care anymore. I'm just too tired and worn out and done and exhausted and overly achieving little nonsensical things. Yesterday I fixed or remade completely a little handle for one of my drawers in my IKEA boxes that I made about 10-15 years ago. So that was interesting. And I'm really, yeah, I'm kind of looking at things again and in a repeat cycle, going around going, oh, I can improve on that, and I can improve on that. And it's the same objects arising in my home that I've held on to because I cherish them for whatever reason, like the butterfly, that, you know, that I look at and go, oh, I can fix that, or I can get that fixed. And then I've let go of a lot of stuff and decluttered. Last night I spent till about 12:30 a.m. Sorting beads and necklaces and jewellery, still left over from my mother. I've given so much away and I still have a lot here. So I piled them all into one box and I thought that's the market box. Tongue in cheek, markets, because I avoid the markets because I don't really like going to markets. So I've got this little, not a very large plastic storage box full of leftover jewellery now, and Crystal went through it 2 nights ago, and she took about half, and I thought, oh good, you know, because she's going to give it a lot to my friend, our family friend Ashley's teenage daughter, who is an artist. So I've sort of spread the joy. I've given jewellery out to various children in the neighbourhood and to my friend Lynn's granddaughter, and now I'll give some to Bethany. And I don't really know Bethany, but I knew her as a baby. And anyway, her mother was very good to me. When we were destitute, living in Waterford West, being threatened every day by a maniac who was encouraged, and also we were also threatened by my ex-boyfriend and his boarder, so there was that. And I was under extreme traumatic domestic terrorism to the point where I was really not coping. This little girl, this mother of this teenager now, used to get her father, who was, you know, working and well-to-do, to come over and take us out on little road trips and buy us fish and chips and pizza. And this little girl literally fed us. So I have not forgotten that generosity and kindness coming from all sources. A young preteen, I think they were about 13, 14 at the time, a young teenager. So the world goes in full circle, and now I want to give back to her little girl in my small, pathetic way, because I don't have anything really to give back, but just some scraps of jewellery that apparently her little girl's very artistic and can turn into something beautiful. So I'm happy about that. It's you know, just a small contribution, but it's closing the circuit and, you know, valuing people and generosity and kindness and all the things that we all really need to survive and thrive on this planet. So there is that. What else can I tell you? Yes, so I was up there, and poor Charlie has been kept awake far too long. So I've put her outside. She's outside on her cage, being Charlie, whistling. Good morning, Charlie. She goes, Mum, it's like really afternoon and I'm all discombobulated. You kept me in the dark. But I figured I'd kept her up late, so it probably doesn't hurt for her to, because they need 12 hours of quiet and darkness and sleep. So she's still had a normal day. It's just the timeline's a bit shifted for her. So she'll probably feel a bit weird and acting out later. But anyway, she's a lovely little birdie and she'll be all right. Hopefully she doesn't lay any more eggs. But I'm going to make a cup of tea. I'm going to go and sit out with my bird because she hasn't seen much of me. The dog hasn't seen much of me because I've just been so busy. Really doing nothing, going round and round in circles. That's a function of hypomania. But when I say, I'm being hard on myself, because when I say I'm doing nothing, I've fixed drawers, and I fixed a little box I bought, a little mother of pearl box that I bought for $10, which was just gorgeous, and was broken. So I made new knobs for that and glued the drawers. I did that for 2 days. That was yesterday and the day before. So I'm achieving things, but they're very small things that if you walked into the house, you wouldn't even notice what it was that I've achieved, which seems quite strange and bizarre, really. But yes, I sorted lots of beads and put everything I could into Perspex containers that Jared found for me in a bin, actually, in an industrial bin. Found for me many years ago, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and I love them. And I thought, no, I'm going to put them as display pieces, and the remains of the jewellery bead stuff that I'm keeping for my Titania's Realm business that I might fly one day. Here they are. I keep things in spice racks as well. And I finally put all these jars that I found in a curbside collection years ago that are antique Fowler's jam jars. Can you see it? Yeah, I finally put them to use storing beads too, because I thought, why keep things in separate bits of clutter all over the house and not actually be using them? It's illogical, so they're used now. And then all these little, all these Perspex boxes are now put on display, and it's great because you can look right into them and they're clear and you can see them. I've developed a hate for these plastic boxes I bought years ago. They're also, because they're plastic, they're getting opaque and sort of hard to look into. So I've got all these going. These are all Tibetan silver, which I've found out recently. There's no silver in them, they're just junk. So I'm a bit annoyed about that, but I will, focus on acquiring and buying over time sterling silver beads for my sterling silver jewellery. My little crystal collection, and there's one big box that I use for storing all my little bead containers that I bought recently on Marketplace cheap, so that was a bargain, and I'm very happy with that. So yeah, I did all that, and it's like took me all night. I mean, sorting the lower two shelves. Oh, pardon me, how embarrassing. Anyway, coughing and farting at the same time. So yes, and I sorted this drawer as well. And what else did we do? Oh yes, I semi-sorted this drawer. Sort of rearrange things. I'm getting there. Starting to look like a professional jeweller's stash. There's all my mess. So I keep scraps of recycled paper that I recycled because I can recycle it again. I must get onto that while the weather's hot. Get back into making some more paper, because I've got a lot of that piled up in the laundry. So I've got to finish all these little projects and then hopefully retire into some kind of peaceful, serene obliteration. But the problem is I did that. I kind of retired for years in a zombie state when I was off my head and on psych meds, funneling my kids from house to house, trying to get us to safety and keep us safe. So I had no time to do art projects, and I was incapable of working because I was just so ill. I did hold down a job for a year and a half, and that was a disaster. 2 jobs, and they were both disastrous and awful. So that was the end of that. So now I've realised at this late stage of life that if I'm going to have any measure of comfort and ease, I'm going to have to start a little business and get some money generated that I can take pride that I've achieved on my own merits. And I'm a bit old. It's a bit late, and I'm a bit old, and I'm fairly bloody sick, and I'm fairly bloody tired. So it's a psychedelic dreamer's dream. I'm not a drug taker, people, but my nickname was Psychedelic Dreamer on Paltalk because I dream in Technicolor, and sometimes my dreams come true. So I didn't dream about running a business again, but I was inspired after my awful surgery in June 2019 when I nearly died. I was inspired, and I asked the gods, the angels, the universe, the energy, the Holy One, whatever you want to call that, to help me to find my niche and get myself established and find a way to do something that I love that also generates some kind of income. And although that hasn't quite manifested yet as far as selling and income goes, because I'm dragging my feet because fear of failure, fear of success, and I'm not able to make enough in a day, one person on my own, with the lack of skills that I have. But I'm learning. But the gods answered my prayers, as they do, and inspired me to make all these gorgeous, lovely little things, which I'm very happy about. And it's almost like, you know, what are you playing at, Tanya? Like, you haven't generated an income, and, you know, you haven't made enough to start up a shop, and you haven't, who are you kidding? You know, I hear that in the back of my head, and that's a negative thought tape that comes from my mother, who was always trying to suppress me and keep me from thriving and success, and was a very negative, evil influence in my life, which is why I'm starting so late in life. You know, it's ridiculous when you think about it. She herself had prospered by, you know, men, and she did work hard, but she mainly prospered in the end through men and through stealing land from me, her own daughter, when I was 13, 14. So there is that. But anyway, I must let it go. Charlie's outside having a lovely swim. A little swimming pool, can you see it? Sweet little darling. So I sit here on sacred space in my garden with my little, you know, artistic proclivities, dreaming of true love and happiness and peace and success. And I've only got that one aspect where I've finally got peace. And my friend Lynn prayed and prayed and prayed to God for me to have peace some years ago, and it's finally here. I have a lot of peace. I don't have true love. I don't have success. I do have a measure of happiness because I've survived against all odds so many horrific things. And, you know, my lungs are bad, and I've made them worse by damaging and doing various projects rather stupidly. But I'm here and I'm living my dreams. Here's a piece of sandalwood I found. I was going through pieces of wood that my friend Lynn got for me. Everything's in the dark. Oh, there we go. And I'm going to use that as a smudge stick along with my Palo Santo stick, which smells beautiful. And I use those whenever anything I buy second-hand or antique, or anything new that arrives that's got a bit of a negative vibe to it. I smudge everything now and cleanse it and purify and pray over it. So we really do live in Titania's realm. I do walk my walk and talk my talk as far as my spirituality, and it's kind of weird to the non-initiated, but it works for me. It gives me peace and harmonic resonance with the spheres, and I can see that everything I prayed for and put out to the universe with regard to wanting to be loved, respected, cherished, honoured, is coming into 3D reality real time now, because I've noticed in the last few months, like I even reconciled of sorts with a neighbour down the road that I was fairly pissed off about because he disrespected my spirituality and my being, and so we fell out for some months, but I found that we've we're friendly again. And well, his wife never stopped being a friend to me, and so I'm visiting them again with his elderly mother and his partner, and he's been quite lovely and welcoming too. So that told me that my I am manifestations, affirmations. I am loved, I am respected, I'm cherished, I'm cared for, I'm treated with kindness and honour, are manifesting in small ways. They don't really impact on my life in a huge way, because it's just, people in the neighbourhood who are choosing to be kind. But that is a shift, So when things went off the rails and got toxic and nasty, and I was very distraught about, because that's a lifetime pattern of friendships and partnerships going off the rails, I have, just with affirmations and single-mindedness and keeping clear focus, have shifted that groove back into the right groove, or how I would like it, which is to just be treated with kindness and respect. I don't have to be, when I say loved, it doesn't have to be a romantic love affair or partnership. It can just be, simple little things like people being nice to you when you go down the shops. With this COVID paradigm, people are very conscious that more than ever how fragile life is and of their mortality. So there was a fair bit of acting out and people being quite naughty, I guess. And that's coming into harmonic resonance when people realise it's like death is a given and has always been present in our lives from the day we drew our first breath. So this whole monetization and corporatization and government control is just evil. And I said it all along that it was evil, and that I was not going to subscribe to it, because I'm not going to have my life hijacked by death, because it was already hijacked for 30 years when I was so ill that I felt constantly that I was going to die. And that, compounded with being threatened daily and dragging my children around in dire poverty, made for a very, very unhappy, distraught, destructive paradigm. And I'm not doing that again. I'm just not going down that path again. I don't care if the whole of society goes to hell. They will not be taking me with them, because I've already lived through hell and I know what that feels like. So my daughter, when she came the other day, said to me, Mum, you're quite happy to die. One of those glib throwaway comments people make to each other. And I said to her, actually, to be honest, Crystal, yes, I fully welcome and embrace death when it comes. I've had enough. However, I am a completely defiant, vibrant, wonderful, vivacious, fully fledged spirit who fought monsters from a very, very young age, in tiny infancy. By the age of 6 years old, I was already fighting monsters. So I'm not planning on dying anytime soon. However, should that event arise on the event horizon, my house is almost in order. I've just got to get rid of those few little schmonzes there and find a home for them or chuck them. My house is almost in order, and I am ready for the next phase of my life. Hopefully, maybe, possibly, it's quite possible anything could happen, a wonderful, loving partnership, relationship with a wonderful, loving man might come into my life and I have all my house in order and I can just relax and enjoy a new blossoming romance without all these things tearing at my soul, dragging me back to the abyss. Wouldn't that be lovely? Anywho, have a wonderful day, people. I need to wash my hair. It's a bit sticky and sweaty. And it's not my most glamorous video I've ever made, but you know, it's authentic. Talk to you later. Bye.